Sound design is a topic that some people say is pretty easy and other people say is extremely difficult, and also the topic that some people say is not needed and other people say is extremely needed and you should only be using sounds that you create. Yo, what is up guys, welcome to a new video. My name is Wildcrow and today I'm gonna show you sound design. I'm gonna show you how to create leads, chords and basses for progressive house. And in my opinion it's better to use presets that you find on sound banks and maybe tweak them to sound a bit different or just layer them with other sounds than creating all your sounds, because this is gonna kill your workflow. Let's say that you're working on a song and you're creating the idea and the arrangement and so, and now you have to create your sounds. It's gonna take a lot of time and it's gonna kill your creativity. And talking about sound banks, if you didn't know, I created a sound bank with 80 awesome presets that includes basses, chords, guitars, pianos, effects, leads, pads, plugs, synth, and I don't know if I missed something. And if you want to get it, click on the first link of my description. You're gonna go to my store and there you're gonna have also a video where you're gonna be able to check these sounds of my sound bank, so this way you know how it sounds. But with that being said, let's start with this video. I'm gonna start with the leads, and with the leads I'm gonna start with the most generic one that creates a lot of fullness and makes it sound super wide and so that it's a super saw. For this video I'm gonna be using Serum. Wait, don't skip this video. If you don't have Serum, don't worry, it's the same for all the synth. If you use Vital, Silent or whatever, it's the same. Just changes what button you're gonna click, but it's the same process. And the super saw name comes because of this table, the saw. So to create a super saw you need a lot of saws. Here you have the unison, and this is basically the voices that you're gonna have, so how much saws you're gonna be playing. If you increase this, you can see you have more lines. You can go to 16, it's not really needed, so I'm gonna leave it on 8. So this means we're gonna have 8 voices. If you play it now, it's gonna sound like this. But you can make this sound way fuller and better. The first thing I'm gonna do is control the attunement. As you can see, this is why Serum is so good, because you can see it with your eyes. The attunement is the separation between all the voices. If you do it like this, it's gonna sound so bad and dissonant. And what I like to do is, this oscillator, I like to have like a really short attunement, something like this. And now I like to use another oscillator that I'm gonna have, again, 8 voices but with more attunement. So now if we combine these two sounds, it's gonna sound like this. As you can see, them two together work so well because they are different. If they are exactly the same thing, it's just like increasing the volume. Another thing I like to do sometimes is the blend. As you can see, is basically the center voices are louder or quieter. So I like to reduce it, so this way I give more space on this area for this one that is like closer, you know, it's like more narrow. Another thing you can do is go here on noise and add a bit of noise. On the noise I like to go to analog and go to the bright white, because this way you're gonna have more noise on this sound and it's gonna sound a bit fuller. The problem on this noise is that if you play it, as you can see, it has a lot of mids and lows, so I like to use a filter, and on this filter on Serum, as you can see here you have the A, B and S. This means the oscillator A, the B, the noise and the sub bass. So click just on the noise and I'm gonna use a high pass. So this way I cut all these frequencies that I don't want in this noise, and now let's try to mix it. Of course you don't want it like this, just a little bit. And from here maybe you can also use a sub bass, but of course in a saw wave, so this way it's in the center and covers a bit more that space. And the last thing you can do is increase a bit the release, so this way is a bit longer. You don't really want this, you're gonna get this effect with the reverb, it's gonna sound way cleaner. Now let's go to the effects, and here you can use just whatever you want. For this one I'm gonna go pretty basic. I'm gonna go to the compressor and I'm gonna use the multiband. Now it's gonna be like an OTT. I'm gonna increase a bit the mids and the highs. Less ratio. As you can see, it gives a bit more strength, but be careful with the mix, because if you raise it like this, it sounds so bad. So always have it at 100%. Now I'm just gonna use a bit of EQ, where I'm gonna cut the lows of this, and also I'm gonna cut the very top end, because I don't really like how it sounds, just like this. And last but not least, just put reverb, the reverb you prefer. But for the reverb, I always recommend you to put it in the mixed channel, and this way have the same reverb for all the synth. But the super common thing to make this sound stronger is, or you go to one of the oscillators and you make it go 1 octave lower, or what you can do is go on the melody and clone it down. This way, as you can see, it's gonna sound way fuller. And basically, this is the super saw. This is the sound. The problem on this sound is that I don't recommend you to use it as the main sound. This is a sound that covers a lot of space, covers the entire frequency spectrum and all these things, but it's not clear, has no definition. And for the main sound, my advice is to always have a more clear sound. So I'm gonna show you how I did one of my favorite leads of my sound bank that is called Cleanest. And this one has more definition and is better for the main sound. For this sound, I'm also gonna use a saw, and I'm gonna increase the unison to 8 voices, but I'm gonna use a really short tune, so this way sounds cleaner. The problem, as you can see now, is that the sound is like moving, now it plays a little bit on the left, on the right, and every note sounds different. To solve this, you have to reduce the random. And now here I'm gonna use another oscillator with a saw, but lots more voices, like 12 voices, not that much the tuning, so something like this. I'm gonna reduce a bit the random, and probably I'm gonna reduce a bit the volume of it. I'm gonna use a filter, of course, on both oscillators just to control a bit the highs, so put it on 10,000, 11,000 Hertz. And now let's go to the effects, and here basically you can use anything. What I'm gonna start first is with the hyper, and hyper is basically gonna like create more voices of the sound that you already have. As you can see here, has the unison, so it's the same thing. If we put it to the max and we, for example, exaggerate this, as you can see, it's like more detuned, more voices. But of course, it is way too much, so just reduce it, something around 40, this is around 25, and also this is around 25. Gives a bit more sound on the sides. Now we're gonna use a bit of distortion, and of course, don't do it like this. So reduce it a little bit. This way has more body. Now again, use a compressor with the mode multiband. But as you can see, it has a lot of attack on the sub bass. We can hear so well the sub bass, and on a lead, of course, you don't want this. So just open an EQ and cut the lows. And from here, for example, you can put a delay. This is like the EQ of the delay, and put a reverb. So this way sounds nicer when you just try it for the first time. So as you can see, this sound is so clear and has a lot of definition, but maybe you want a sound that is not that clear but is also not that super saw. So let's try to get that. Again, a saw, let's increase the voices, something like this. Here again, increase the voices, something like this. We can add maybe a bit of noise like I did before. Just put the bright white, and as I don't want the lows on the noise, they like this. Now let's go to the effects, distort it a little bit. You can try others. For example, now I'm going to try the hard clip. Now a bit of EQ to cut the lows and add a bit of reverb. Also come back here and touch a bit the release, and you can also reduce a bit the sustain. So this way now it's not like the super saw, but it's also not like the clean sound. It's like a middle point. But from here, what you can do is just get this sound and try to experiment. Be as creative as you want. For example, you can go here and change the wavetable on basic shape, for example, and use the square. Also, what you can do, for example, is go here and choose one of these modes. For example, I'm going to use the bend. And as you can see, the bend, what it's doing is like bending it. And you can control this while the notes are playing. So for example, go to envelope, put it here, not to the max, and just do something like this. But as I said here, the creativity is your limit. There are endless possibilities. And with the leads explained, let's go with the chords. For the chords, again, we're going to use a saw, and we're going to create a super saw. I'm going to put 8 voices, and this one also 8 voices, or 9, and just play it. Basically, you have the sound, but from here, we can try to improve it. For example, I'm going to reduce a bit the random. Also, what we can do is maybe make this higher. We can go to the effects and use a bit of distortion. We can use a compressor and again multiband option. Use an EQ to control a bit the lows, and maybe also for the very highs. And also increase a bit the release. From here, again, you can, for example, add some noise or change the wavetable. I'm gonna try a square one here. And and you have your chords. Now let's go with the bass line. And for the bass, do you know what wavetable we're gonna use? Exactly, a saw. So basically you can play like this, or play one octave lower, or one more. No, when you get to this point, this means that this sound is not right. Put it one octave higher. So you can just have it like this, and you have your bass, but this is a bit, boring. So what I'm gonna do is put some voices, and I'm gonna reduce the retunement, something like this. Of course, now if you play it, every time sounds different, so reduce the random to the minimum, and this way is also gonna be in the center. And with the second oscillator, what I'm gonna do is make it wider. So I'm gonna put some more voices, like 10 or 9. Let's try them two together. I'm gonna control a bit the highs of it because they are a bit annoying. Also, make sure you enable the oscillator B. Now let's go to the effects, and here is where the magic comes with the distortion. You can change the sound completely with the distortion. Sounds a bit weird, so be careful, don't use that much. But the magic comes with this, with the EQ. If you use the pre-EQ and you try things, as you can see, the sound changes completely. For now, I'm just not gonna use it, and I'm gonna use a bit of compression, again, with the multiband. You know, I like a lot to use this thing, like OTT. I'm gonna increase the mids and the lows. Let's go with an EQ and control a bit the highs. If you don't like this kind of movement that it creates, just go here and reduce the random. But now, for example, you can go here and increase this. And as you can see, you have a complete new sound, and sounds so good for a bass line. So guys, this is how you can create leads, chords, and basses for progressive house. Of course, there are more sounds like pads, plugs, and so, but this video would be too long. If you want me to make more sound design videos for other type of sounds or for other genres, just let me know with liking and sharing this video, and also putting down below in the comments. My advice now is to watch this video again and recreate the sounds I'm doing here, like you watch what I do and you recreate it in your DAW. This is the way you're gonna learn. And from there, just touch the knob, change the wavetable, use different effects, so this way you practice. And as I said, if you just want to use presets from soundbanks, I have a soundbank with 80 awesome presets that you can use for progressive house, for future house, for hardstyle, for other genres. So nothing else, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you like this tutorial, and I hope it helped you in any way. Right now, if you don't want to recreate these sounds because you're tired of something, just watch this video, so this way you entertain yourself, and also subscribe to this YouTube channel, so this way you don't miss any tutorial about sound design or about other things. Thank you so much, guys, and see you in the next video.